Hello everyone and welcome to round 4 here at the 2015 Ledgestone Insurance Open. We're going to get right to the action. We've got players on both holes 1 and 2. We've got Simon Lizotte in the lead today at 28 under par, tied with Paul McBeth. Cale, Leiviska, and JohnE McCray both sitting 26 under par. And we're going to actually wait for hole 2. They're going to go ahead and throw first. Very congested area on the tees of 1 and 2. So we're going to get to the action. Again, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. You're watching SmashBoxxTV. It's a Ledgestone Insurance Open. Let's get to it. As I said, we're going to have tee number 2 throw first. Nate Doss is on the tee. And Doss is off the tee safely. That par 5. Zach Melton on the tee. And Ricky Wysocki third to tee. Fourth on hole number 2 is Cameron Colglazer.
Might as well throw one. Go provisional? Yep.
And Ricky Wysocki throwing a provisional shot in the instance that his first tee shot was out of bounds. And he's landed safely, so he'll be able to see if he was in fact out of bounds or not. And as I said, in just a moment here, we are going to get started. The second tee is adjacent to the first tee, which is why they opted to have the second tee go first. We're here on hole number 1, one of the shorter holes you'll find on the course at 285 feet. The cart path and left is OB. Simon Lizotte on the tee. And Simon's forehand moving to the right-hand side. He'll be pin high. Very similar shot by Paul McBeth. Cale Leiviska, third to tee. And flirting with the OB, going out and over with his putter. Leiviska is inbounds. And JohnE McCray with a gorgeous shot just past the basket. And we're going to move down the fairway here on hole number 1. Again, thank you guys for joining us. Sorry I've been a little bit quiet and reserved here as it was a little congested on this first tee. And I should say actually the first and second tee. We're going to have a mixture of both up and down umbrellas throughout the next hour or two. Although if you looked on the radar here for Eureka, Illinois, it would tell you that there is no precipitation, even though it is currently sprinkling on both the competitors as well as our crew. They talk about a clearing of the skies, possibly even sun in the next few hours. The humidity level, however, is at 95%. Certainly past the comfortable stage, regardless of what part of the country you're from or used to. There's no OB on the right-hand side, just the cart path on the left. And Simon Lizotte moves to 29 under par with a birdie here on the first hole. Cale Leiviska making good from inside 20 feet. He also starts with a birdie too. Paul McBeth from the same distance. And JohnE McCray with a CTP, or closest to the pin. And there you have it. That may be the easiest hole these players will find out here today. Hole number 1, 285 feet, 4 birdies to start our round.
Have a good round, guys.
One of the unique features you're going to see out here this entire round is stroke and distance on most of the holes, just as we saw with Ricky Wysocki a few moments ago. Anytime the players throw OB, if they were to do so, they must rethrow from where they previously were with a 1-throw penalty. They do not get to move forward. They must throw from where they were with a 1-stroke penalty. Again, we're backtracking to pretty much exactly where we just were a moment ago. Instead, we are on hole number 2's tee.
All twos, right? Yeah, I thought so. Good job, guys. You guys want to go first? Sure.
2 is 897 feet. And Johnny McCray also with a clean shot. All four gentlemen here with very clean shots on hole number 2. This hole features an initial landing zone and then a secondary landing zone with an OB section in between the two. The total hole measuring in at 897 feet. This is a par 5. And as we get closer, you will also notice there is a field goal post that they must navigate to the left-hand side of, as that is considered a mandatory. So the players must go to the left side of the marked field goal post. You'll see that in just a few moments. And then, as if the 897 feet, the 2 sections of OB, and the field goal post aren't enough, the basket is then located within 30 feet of the water. Very sizable gallery out here joining us this morning. We expect more than 1,000 people to be out here this afternoon for the finals. We'll be bringing that to you live at 2:30 p.m. right here on SmashBoxxTV. And as you can see, our players are standing down. They're going to need to wait for our second card to move off the pin here. Cale Leiviska is going to be first to throw. As I said, you must go to the left of the left-hand gold post that is marked as the mandatory with the pink string. Cale throwing an M4 mid-range. The section between the two yellow ropes is also out of bounds. That should not come into play for any of these competitors here. McCray is on the left-hand side. And McBeth opting for a forehand. I believe that is a Star Destroyer. Simon Lizotte clarifying he's throwing a PD2. And thus far, these players all playing the hole in a very similar fashion, with big drives and solid approaches here. They're hoping to all get up and down. Hard birdie fours here on this long par 5. Again, hole 2 measuring in at 897 feet. And after Johnny McCray's third shot came up somewhat short, you see Cale Leiviska with a look at birdie from where he's at. Simon Lizotte just a bit short on his approach shot. Johnny McCray's putt for 4 is short. Again, water within 25 to 30 feet directly behind the pin. Players must be very cautious of that. Cale's in for the 4. He will pull 1 stroke ahead of Johnny McCray with that birdie. Simon Lizotte also good. And McBeth as well. We see 3 birdies and a par here by Johnny McCray on hole number 2.
It says on the tee sign.
And Cale Leiviska is elated to hear that he just carded a birdie. He did not realize it was a par 5. He's excited for taking the birdie here on hole number 2. Cale Leiviska is somewhat notorious for playing courses blind. I'm guessing that may be the situation here today. We're going to find out. Very unique approach as one of our best players in the world. Attacks courses sometimes without ever seeing them before. We're going to be back with you in just a few moments. And Lizotte's mid-range moves over to the right-hand side. This hole measuring in just under 300 feet. McBeth asking for that to get down as is carried past the basket. We feel a right to left breeze. There's also OB River on the left-hand side of this fairway, and if you go far enough right, you could find yourself OB on the cart path.
PA2.
Leiviska throwing a PA2. And Johnny shot carrying left. Again, this hole measuring in at 261 feet with OB on both left and right side. Looks as if Cale Leiviska's drive had hit the tree, and then from what we could see at least, it looks as if he has carried into the water OB. We'll get a clarification on that. That may prove to be very significant later on, as that is one of Cale's go-to putters. And Leiviska just about took a spill into the drink. And a perfect shot by Cale Leiviska. Cale not exactly a predominant forehand thrower, however, threw a nearly perfect shot there. As we walked away, Johnny McCray was asking if Cale needed an umbrella. It looks like there may be a chance of recovery for his putter on that shot. McBeth has found himself long on this 261-foot hole. Looks like he's more than 45 feet from the pin. He will have to straddle out to his right. He's going to be faced with a little bit of a headwind from where he's standing right now. And McBeth just a bit short on his effort there for birdie. Simon Lizotte will be up to throw next. And Lizotte's putt is short. Johnny McCray will be next to throw. McCray's effort is on the right-hand side. McCray will put in for his 3. Expect the same of McBeth. And after the penalty from the water's edge, Cale Leiviska is going to be tapping in for his 4. We see 3 threes and a bogey 4 here by Cale Leiviska. That's hole number 3. We're going to go over to see the very challenging and unique hole number 4, which is just a few feet adjacent from 3's basket. And Simon Lizotte taking a route you'll see no one else here take. He goes with a high hyzer out around the trees on the right-hand side. The players must cross the water and land safely, otherwise they are OB. McBeth's rock 3 is carrying out and over. He is safe. Again, any shot coming up short of crossing the river is considered out of bounds. Cale with a mid-range going right at the pin, and he'll be CTP. The gallery erupts for the first time here today. This hole very unique. As I said, if you do not cross the stream, the OB water, you must re-tee from where you had thrown from. If you do not make it across for a second time, then you proceed to the drop zone. So this is a very high pressure tee shot. Although all 4 of our competitors easily made it over, I can all but guarantee there were hundreds of strokes taken on this hole, as it was a very small window for them to hit to get over the water's edge. We have Simon Lizotte and Paul McBeth still knotted up at 30 under par. Leiviska and McCray now each sitting at 27 under par. We're also now crossing the tee of hole number 5. We're glad you could join us right here on SmashBoxxTV this morning. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, bringing you round 4 coverage out here at the Lake Eureka temporary course in Eureka, Illinois. This is going to be a very exciting and dramatic round, as there are so many holes featuring various OB lines, island greens, and baskets placed very closely to water's edges. And Simon Lizotte, as I said, took a route virtually no other player here could even attempt, throwing out and around the trees, going with a big hyzer. And approach shot just to the pin. And McBeth's putt is just a bit off. And JohnE McCray, has cleared the water's edge. He's left with 25 feet. And JohnE McCray is in for the birdie. Cale Leiviska will keep pace with him with his tap-in birdie. Cale's mid-range shot landing right next to the basket. Both Paul and Simon will tap in. We're going to have a somewhat awkward interchange, so we're going to stand down for just a few moments here. We're going to be back with you on hole number 5, bringing you all the action right here during the 4th round of the 2015 Ledgestone Insurance Open, presented by Discraft.
If you weren't watching SmashBoxxTV yesterday, let's see what you missed out on. Stay tuned for final day coverage at the 2015 Ledgestone Insurance Open.
For me, it's time with my friends. To me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job.
For me, it's fun.
Card. We're going to be following them for just a little bit. There's going to be some delay in our leader card action. Of course, the second card is on hole number 5. They just teed off. I'll do my best here to give you the play-by-play as we wait for them to clear off. This is a par 4 hole. We see Ricky Wysocki, Zach Melton, Nate Doss, and Cameron Colglazer moving down the fairway. As they do that, like I said, I will go ahead and give you a description here on this par 4, hole number 5. It is 660 feet. We find OB road and parking lot, everything on the right-hand side of the fairway. As they get closer to the basket, there is also OB on the right-hand side at the 475-foot mark. And then there is a very, very precariously placed basket near the peninsula. In fact, many players had talked about this basket possibly being too close to the water's edge. I know a few days prior to the tournament, the tournament director, Nate Heinold, had backed the basket up 15 to 20 feet. However, it is still very close to the water's edge. These players are going to be challenged by throwing an approach shot. However, there is water on the left and OB on the right. This is Cameron Colglazer throwing his forehand second shot. And as you saw by Cameron, most players at this stage are going to be looking for a simple layup. I know our competitors will be more than content with taking a 4 here. The second shot is just simply too risky to be able to try and take any big or, well, we'll say risky shot to go ahead and attack the green. We're glad you're tuned in here today. This is the 4th round coverage at the 2015 Ledgestone Open presented by Discraft. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We've got Joe Height on the catch camera, along with Gary to the O working the tethered camera, along with myself out here giving you the commentary, and Johnny V back at the controls in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This has turned out to be a very exciting weekend. The single largest payout in all of PDGA disc golf history taking place this weekend. More than $125,000 in cash. And what's even more exciting than that, a $20,000 check being presented later on this afternoon to the St. Jude Charity Hospital. So not only has Nate Heinold and the rest of his staff and crew found a way to reward our players, but also to give back to charity. Ricky Wysocki with a forehand. I was recently updated saying that Ricky Wysocki carded a 10 on hole number 2. I don't have a direct confirmation on that, but Wysocki possibly starting out not how he had hoped. The par 5 hole number 2, very challenging. We saw 3 birdies and a par on our leader card. Zach Melton to throw next. Interesting fact also just relayed to me that Will Schustrick had taken a 2 on hole 2, and in a very unusual circumstance, he's actually not playing the same course that these competitors are. At first, when I had heard the news, my jaw had dropped, wondering how in the world he had carded 2. But Will Schustrick finding himself in the B pool here this weekend after the first day shuffle. So he had carded a 2 this morning, but not out here at Lake Eureka. We'd like to thank also all of our worldwide listeners and viewers. We know we have people literally from around the world tuned in, taking in all the action here this weekend. We hope that you share it, like it, swipe right for Smashbox, do whatever you need to do. Go out and let everyone know that you are watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV. We have a very exciting day planned for you, as we'll be following the leader card here for the 18-hole finish, and then 9 holes during the final 9 this afternoon at 2:30. I'd like to thank Joe Height following along with the action here on the second card. There are many unique holes out here at this course. One being the next hole in the bridge. Next to throw here, we're live on the tee with JohnE McCray. Second to throw, Cale, Leiviska. And Cale with a very nice shot. Again, we're going to confirm. I believe Cale is playing this course blind here today. I know that sounds absurd to most of you, as he's one of our top players in the world, playing one of the most challenging courses the tour has seen this year, but Cale is a unique preparer when it comes to disc golf tournaments. I've known him for a number of years, and the fact that he is playing this course blind would not surprise me. Looks as if Simon Lizotte is possibly waiting here for a moment, waiting for the second card to clear. They're backtracking, heading over to the edge of the bridge, which is where we'll find hole number 6. Again, this hole has OB on the right-hand side, which should not come into play until they get closer towards the basket. There's also a stream that is on the left-hand side, which makes for a peninsula around this pin. Safe and effective drive there by Simon Lizotte. I expect to see a nearly identical drive here by Paul McBeth. Paul throwing one of his 6 Star Destroyers here today. And as I said, Paul McBeth's nearly identical shot, just a little bit more on that right-hand side, maybe a little more distance. Great shot by Paul. We'll pan back here, give you a good shot of the gallery as we're seeing them all move down. And off in the distance, you can see where we will be moving to next. That is hole number 6's tee area, a bridge that the competitors throw through. Earlier in the week, we saw soccer nets set up out here. However, they were, of course, removed for play. They were in the middle of this fairway as we're just about to walk across it. Lake Eureka has been a gorgeous place here for this temporary course. Nate Heinold wanted to challenge and somewhat punish some of the competitors out here this weekend. Any of our lower level professionals are going to be frustrated before day's end, I can guarantee that. I think we're going to see some very conservative approach shots here thrown toward the peninsula. However, I'm guessing many of them will be short and conservative as they're looking just to card fours here. And Cale with putter in hand is in fact going after the green. We'll see just how short he is, but that looks to be a good shot by Cale Leiviska. And also being aggressive as it slithers down the hillside is JohnE McCray. And Simon on the right-hand side. We will attempt to get confirmation. It sounds actually as if JohnE McCray, from my vantage point, looked like he had stayed in bounds. It may be not the case here. Paul throwing a Nova approach shot right next to the basket. I do have to clarify, when I was out here a few days ago, the basket was in fact actually about 30 feet beyond where it is today. I believe that was a last moment change before play had started, so I should clarify it's not quite as daunting as it was. However, as you'll see, water's edge all around this basket.
Yeah, it's probably curled back, honestly.
JohnE McCray giving himself, and just trying to find a good solid spot to take some footing here. And McCray is in. Lizotte, Leiviska, and McBeth all making birdies here. As I said earlier, the basket was actually much closer to the water, if you can actually believe that, just a few days ago. However, the calm winds, the now partly sunny skies, are allowing for us to see our competitors, especially the top players here, go after and attack this pin. Seeing 3 birdies and JohnE McCray's 5. Very impressive out here on hole number 5.
You've done that before.
And JohnE living in Florida, as Paul McBeth had just said. JohnE, being a Florida native, has retrieved discs from the water before. We're going to have a gradual transition over to hole number 6. We're glad you are tuned in, watching us right here on SmashBoxxTV. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, bringing you the 18-hole round at Lake Eureka Park here today, as well as the final 9 this afternoon. We hope that you go out and tell some of your friends. Tweet, Facebook, Tinder, do whatever you need to do. Let everyone else you know. Make them aware that you're able to watch live disc golf right here. 2-camera coverage on SmashBoxxTV.
I'm Kelsey Wilmerding, and you're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
Yeah, thank you. Still better than some of my practice round scores, so yeah.
Johnny McCray still content, he says, with the score he just carded. It was better than some of his practice rounds. Thus far, this course has been very tamed here by our leader card.
How far is this one? 354.
McBeth confirming that this hole is 354 feet. He has both a Nova and a Rock 3 in his hands, the purple one being a Rock 3. McPro Rock 3, I should clarify. Approximately 100 feet off of the edge of this bridge on the far side is a inbounds area. And then we have a postage stamp green, which is considered an island as well. Again, with the calm winds, the players may have the option for going after the pin. However, I think you're going to see a number of layups here.
I didn't. I think it was at GBL. The island of that. Can't believe I did that.
Cale Leiviska on the tee. And what looks to be a very nicely placed shot, Cale Leiviska with a...
So this is stroking distance, right?
Yeah, this is stroking distance one.
Is this stroking distance?
Yeah, previous live with one stroke.
Alright.
You asking the crowd?
Simon's asking everyone at home if this is stroking distance. And Simon throwing a putter shot off the tee. And McBeth throwing a Nova from her vantage point. McBeth waiting to see, and he gets a green flag. Johnny McCray going for the green. Cale, you want to double check? I don't take my word.
No, I call provisional.
And Johnny McCray throwing a second tee shot. He's going for the green here, asking for it to get down.
Goodness, it just crawled out.
And Johnny McCray throws his final shot as a putter. And we are moving across the bridge. Hole number 6 here. Tempting our players, however, unfortunately you're getting the best of Johnny McCray by just a few feet on some of those drives. And Leiviska with a gorgeous shot here, heading right toward the pin, and it finished just in front. And with a simple putter shot, we see another great shot here by Simon Lizotte. And Paul McBeth going with a champion Firebird and landing right next to the pin. Johnny McCray doing the same. Just a few moments ago, we were informed that David Felberg had carded a 10 here on hole number 6.
Please don't touch it. I would love just seeing what every one of those was. Otter should never touch the dip.
Johnny McCray giving a slight pro tip here to any of the spotters, and that's always good to know whether you're a spectator at any tournament or even if you're helping the tournament. It's usually best just to leave the disc exactly as they lie. Players like to find out and confirm for themselves, even if it seemingly is obviously OB. Always just leave it where it lies. And Leiviska is going to card a 5 here. Simon Lizotte with 3, as will McBeth. And we'll get a final confirmation. I believe that is either an 8 or, a 9 or a 10 here by Johnny McCray. We're going to move over to hole number 7. Stay tuned. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV. We are 1/3 of the way through our 18-hole morning round out here at the Lake Eureka temporary course. Hole number 7 is a par 4, 678-foot hole. The disc must come to rest within the roped areas to be considered inbounds. On or over the path to the left is OB. And going in or over the creek long is also considered OB.
Simon. 3, Cale. 5. Johnny. Add a 9, please.
Johnny McCray carding a 9. And as you can see, Simon Lizotte with a hyzer off the tee. Feeling a slight headwind here as we're on the tee on this elevated area. McBeth getting a green flag. And Leiviska with a mid-range. And as you can see by Johnny's disc bouncing up and down, a little bit of wind here in the player's face affecting the flight. However, we see all 4 tee shots safely inbounds. Make sure to go out and use the code LIS10 when you visit plasticaddicts.net. That will get you 10% off all of your Ledgestone Insurance discs that were produced by Discraft here as fundraisers for this event. Again, LIS10 at plasticaddicts.net. If you're in the Peoria area, they also have 2 storefront locations that you can stop in and visit. Johnny Harrison, a supporter of everything that has been the Ledgestone Insurance Series, the Ledgestone Insurance Open, as well as SmashBoxxTV. So we appreciate Johnny Harrison, Plastic Addicts. Again, LIS10 for your 10% discount. Of course, we want you to like us, not just on Facebook, but in general. You can find us on a number of social media pages, including Twitter and YouTube, as well as Facebook. Great shot here by JohnE McCray. And Cale hanging it out wide to the right and just barely skipping over the OB line. I think there might have been a slight misread there by Cale. Simon Lizotte playing the slight right to left wind. And we see Paul McBeth just 5 feet in front of Lizotte's tee shot. Paul again throwing his dyed champion Firebird. And McBeth could have used a little bit more power on that. However, he's going to have a putt from there. If for some reason you cannot get enough of us during any of our live broadcasts, we certainly invite you to tune in on Tuesday nights. We have a 9 p.m. podcast every Tuesday night. This is a SmashBoxxTV production. This next week we will be coming up on our silver numbered podcast, the 50th. That is Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Central. We usually catch up with social media news, disc golf news. More often than not, we have a Simon Lizotte trick shot to be discussing, as he's been putting those out more and more often. We also talk about the weekend results. Our good friend Dynamite Dana Vici joins us for that segment. Also, I Love Disc Golf segment by Zoe Andike. Again, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. All right, Cale is telling me this is a PA4 in the basket. And just off the side of the basket, Leiviska attempting to call that one. Great effort. And taking a birdie 3 here is Simon Lizotte. McBeth also with a birdie 3. McCray making short and easy work of his birdie opportunity. And Leiviska will be tapping in for his par. And no problems for Leiviska. We have a somewhat lengthy walk up around the bridge and over to the short hole number 8. We're going to stand down for just a few moments for a word from our sponsors. Again, you're watching the 2015 Ledgestone Insurance Open presented by Discraft. We'll be back in a few moments.
Plastic Addicts, Illinois' largest disc golf store with over 5,000 discs in inventory and 2 locations. Our main store is in North Pekin, right off of Interstate 474. The second location location is conveniently located just across the street from Bradley Park in Peoria. We carry all major disc brands, bags, custom apparel, stools, baskets, and more. Plastic Addicts is proud to support local tournaments, courses, and players from all over the country. Plastic Addicts, for all your disc golf cravings.
I've caught up with Steve Brinster here at the Ledgestone Insurance Open. And Steve, we just wrapped up with the World Championships where you had an amazing finish. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all kind of started in Europe, where I found myself not playing very well and probably not prepared to do well. And then, sure enough, started off poorly. Had high hopes and started off poorly at the Worlds, and then just kind of really put my mind to finding a way to start playing some good golf. And sure enough, the next day, round 2, I came out and shot a 15 under. It was somehow the second best round. Will shot a 16. It was pretty incredible. But from there on, it was I just felt like I was kind of like back to normal. Everything felt right. My body felt good, which was an important thing. And I just did what I know what to do. It was kind of easy from there.
Yeah, and those courses certainly favored a longer arm. I mean, you had to be accurate, but I know you're a man of distance. That certainly had to aid in your good scores.
Yeah, I mean, I think any course that you ever step on, you kind of need it all in some respect. I would say that being able to throw some rollers out there helped me, and I think I do that well. But I might have missed 2 or 3 putts inside the circle the whole week. So after the first round, that is. All the small things. I was doing it all right, and you really can't navigate any course on one good thing. You have to do it all.
Okay. A few years ago at the World Championships, there was the threat of you having to rush out due to some children being born. I'm sure you were missing your family as you've been touring quite a bit this year. Looking forward already to the USDGC. Is that a fair thing to say?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got a couple really great events lined up. This has been my busiest season really ever, especially considering, having the family and...
Simon checking out the tee sign, seeing that it is 240 feet. Hole number 8. And Simon Lizotte's shot actually hit off of the overhanging wire here. However, carried to the basket nicely. This is McBeth with a forehand champion Firebird.
Sit.
And checking up nicely is Paul McBeth's forehand. This is Cale Leiviska throwing his PA2. Johnny McCray getting a clap here. And this is actually Cale Leiviska with his PA2. Oh, and the tree had hung it up. A different tree from which Paul McBeth had caught. Otherwise, it looked like he was going to go OB. If I'm not mistaken, Johnny McCray was throwing a shield. I'll get confirmation on that. This being one of the shorter holes here on this Lake Eureka temp course. 240 feet with OB directly to the right. I know I keep using that same word, unique. However, There are a lot of unique holes out here. The next hole that we will find is going to be unique in the sense that it is tucked behind a water tower. Cale assessing what it looks like behind the pin. See how much room he has, and he's also wants to verify the ceiling between him and the basket. And Cale with a beautiful jump putt. JohnE McCray is going to be getting in position, looking to do just the same. He's instead stepping it off to see how far away from the pin he is. And just over the edge is JohnE McCray. Literally just 6 inches in front of Lizotte's shot was Paul McBeth. They also card birdies. We see 4 twos here on hole number 8. We saw Simon Lizotte's disc hit the OB rope. We're going to get a ruling, and it stayed inbounds for him. The basket is located directly behind the water tower. And Paul McBeth flirting with the right-hand side OB. He is safe. And Leiviska also with a layup. We see all four of our competitors laying up to the section just short of the OB roped area. The basket located directly behind the water tower, the back edge of it. This hole measures in at 354 feet. However, as you can see, very conservative plays. Paul McBeth has put himself in the best position here. We feel a slight headwind coming in at us. And as these players need to navigate around this water tower, anyone on this right-hand side, as where McBeth will be, is going to have an advantage. Spotter giving Johnny McCray a green flag. And McBeth again approaching here with a champion Firebird. At least a 10 to 15 mile per hour wind in our face at the moment. After this hole, we'll have a medium length walk over to hole number 10, which is a downhill shot that is going to play straight toward the water's edge. The basket is located at almost exactly a 12 o'clock position from where Cale is lined up to this water tower. And what appears to be a nice shot. Cale Leiviska getting the green flag. And Simon Lizotte, seeing that he is partially inbounds and partially out.
Pretty good.
Getting an, as he says, pretty good. Getting an official spot here. It is worth noting that the white line is the OB line. Whether you are watching the great shot by Simon Lizotte and whether you are watching the United States Disc Golf Championships or even out here today, it is always worth noting that the yellow line is nothing more than a reference point. That is why there are two lines here on these roped off areas. The yellow line is so that players have a visual representation. However, the official line for OB is the white line located closer to the ground. Johnny McCray just asked the group and said white line, right? And as he is stepping it in, you can see he is taking his 1 meter relief here per PDGA rules. And McCray's putt is high. No problems for Cale Leiviska. Paul McBeth is also in, as will Simon Lizotte. Johnny McCray is going to have a brief or short tap in here on hole 9. And as I mentioned, we have a short walk over to the 10th tee area. We're going to stand down and listen to a word from our sponsors. You're watching the 2015 Ledgestone Insurance Open presented by Discraft.
I'm Cale Leiviska from Minnesota, and you're watching SmashBoxxTV, baby.
Back, everyone. I have caught up with one of our favorite Smashies. That's Jordan Castro. Jordan, I played with you a few weeks ago at the World Championships.
Yep.
One of us went one direction, one went the other, and I'm not talking about the band. You shot very well, had a great performance.
Thank you.
Is that from watching the podcast every Tuesday? Tell us what's going on.
A little bit of both. Just playing well, practicing, just working hard, just shooting some golf. Just awesome. I love it.
Well, you talked about traveling around. I know Paige Bjorkis and a few other people were travel mates. What's that been like as you've been touring around this season?
It's been fun. Been meeting a lot of people, just catching up with some old friends. So just an awesome experience for first time. So just awesome.
Now we're here at the Ledgestone Open, and this isn't as much of a hike for you. You're probably looking at less than 8 hours to get to this event. What else is on your radar for events this year? Are you kind of wrapping things up?
Yep, wrapping things up. Just kind of slowing down. Just I don't know. Just trying to stay local now. So because everything's just pretty much done for me. Got a couple weddings. Just staying local.
What kind of pressure is it like? You come from Minnesota where there's a lot of great courses and obviously a lot of great players. Are you feeding off of those players? Are you getting tips and lessons, or is that pressure every weekend you show up and play?
A little bit of both. Cale's been helping me, so it's kind of nice. And I got a lot of local pros, a lot of everybody in the Twin Cities, so they've been helping me, just supporting me here and there. So it's kind of nice. I like it.
All right. Tell everybody where you are on Tuesday nights around 9 o'clock Central Time.
I am watching Terry's Smashbox podcast every night.
All right. That's Jordan Castro. We wish him the best of luck here at the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Let's get back to the action.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul McBeth. You're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
Looking just to lay up here, and although normally you'd think a sand volleyball court is out of bounds, it is in fact in bounds. Paul McBeth is near center court. And all four of our competitors have thrown into the inbounds area. This is hole number 10, measuring in at 288 feet. The sand volleyball court area is in fact inbounds. There is out of bound area between the sand court and where the basket is placed on a very, very tight green. I've now caught up as we walk down and watch the action. I've caught up with our tournament director in Nate Heinold. Nate, looks like we got a couple players center court. Maybe a little beach volleyball later?
Yeah, I asked Paul and he said sure. So he said let's get a game going. So why not? So
all right, little bump set spike action. Paul McBeth is debating as to what his plan of attack is here. Off on the next hole, hole number 11, we're seeing Cameron Colglazer and Nate Doss throw their tee shots. And again, we've got McBeth waiting on Doss's tee shot here on hole number 11. Nate Heinold's friends, family, and supporters have gone as far as getting a number of benches and stands out here so that we can have a large gallery this afternoon for our final round. Right now we're looking at Simon Lizotte still knotted up with Paul McBeth at 33 under par. Cale Leiviska at 28 under, and JohnE McCray now sitting at 23 under. I did confirm with Cale Leiviska a few moments ago. He says he has in fact seen this course. He got one practice round in earlier in the week. Here we are with Paul McBeth. And with precision and accuracy, Paul McBeth has put himself right next to the basket. And JohnE McCray is also onto the green. And Leiviska feels a very stiff headwind. That has carried OB. This headwind had lifted his disc and carried him past the green's edge into the water. A slight adjustment by Leiviska puts him right next to the basket. Again, this is a stroke in distance OB situation, meaning that Cale did not get to take it where it was last in bounds. In fact, he must simply throw from where he previously was. And in textbook fashion, Simon Lizotte has also approached to the green. Our tournament director and course designer, Nate Heinold, thinking that this hole would challenge and maybe entice the players to go after the green. However, we saw all four of them laying up here off the tee. As I had mentioned, a very, very small green here on hole number 10. And shortly after the competitors clear out here on hole number 10, we're going to catch up with our tournament director, Nate Heinold. He's got a few things to share with us. We're going to have a slight backup here on our 11th tee, which makes for a perfect opportunity to catch up with Nate. All right, I have caught up with one of the busiest and most tired men in all of disc golf, Nate Heinold, our tournament director. Nate, we're looking at approximately 18 more holes for our open men before this thing wraps up, and you're going to be handing out the largest purse in PDGA history. Tell us how that feels.
Well, do I look tired? Is that why you said that? Or
You look great. Actually, you look great, but I know you're tired.
I did my makeup this morning, so no, it feels good to get here to this point. It's glad the rain held off today. It's just a beautiful park. I want to thank the city of Eureka. They've been phenomenal in letting us close down one of their only city attractions in town for pretty much 5 days, and so I'm very happy with that. We have St. Jude setting up top, and just want to let everybody know we have about 200 raffle tickets still available. We're giving away all of these powder-coated baskets that you're seeing people use in our raffle. We're giving away 300 other prizes, and so if you do want to get on the raffle, we have about half of them sold. You can PayPal the funds to Nate at ledgestonegrp.com. Family and friends, $30 a ticket. As I said, we're giving away 18 baskets and a bunch of other things, so we're really excited to be able to support St. Jude, and the raffle is our biggest way to support that. So,
yeah, I know you have been doing some amazing fundraising. Not only are you giving out the largest purse in PDGA history, but I know you're looking at making a $20,000 check to the St. Jude Research Hospital. And earlier in the year, we talked about it. In May, we were in Seaside, California. Disc golfers had raised nearly $250,000, and here, just at this one event alone, you're looking to do almost a tenth of that. Any chance that's going to go from 20 to say 100,000 by the end of the day, or no? Okay.
Yes.
No. Okay.
For sure. 100,000 pennies, maybe, or.
No, what you've done is
let's get some more smashies to buy some raffle tickets, and we'll add some more baskets, maybe. So.
No, what you've done has been truly amazing. You have nearly 800 competitors here this week. That's like a World Championships and then some.
Yeah, it's twice as big as the Pro World Championship, and so we're a lot of people here. We're excited to have this big gallery. So.
We know that we have been in a number of cities surrounding the Peoria area. They've been very welcoming. We had a press conference to open the week. Who are some of the other supporters out there that have helped make this event possible?
Yeah, as I said, the city of Eureka has been great. The city of Morton has been phenomenal. The Morton Park District, they basically have opened their courses up and done a lot of work to make them ready and allowed us to get in there and do work as well. The city of Peoria, the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, City of Pekin have all been phenomenal.
All right.
Supporting the event. So
my final question is, how in the world are you going to make this event bigger and better next year? Is that even possible?
We're not going to talk about next year until a couple months after this year. So, all right. But we'll see what happens. So,
all right, we're going to get back to the action. You couldn't ask for a better turn of events here. We've got Simon Lizotte, 33 under par, and he's on the tee in just a moment.
Simon Lizotte. I pretend to be.
What, like the Anheuser Ralph? Yeah.
No, I don't pretend to be Simon.
Paul, McBeth, and the rest of the group talking a little strategy here over on hole number 11. This is a par 4, 711-foot hole. We're going to feel a slight breeze from left to right. It may pick up as it did on the previous hole. Of course, the basket, as you'll see on a number of these holes out here, somewhat near the water's edge. This has one of the larger putting greens of all the water hazard holes out here. Again, Simon Lizotte sitting at 33 under par. Paul McBeth tied with him at also at 33. Leiviska at 26 and JohnE McCray at 23 under par.
That big putter.
And for the first time today, we are seeing a very bright sun come out and hang over these players. Grass will be drying up. Again, we are 11 holes in. Here during our fourth round, we'll be bringing you the final 9 as the exciting conclusion here of the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Simon Lizotte has talked about throwing the Anheuser approach. Paul McBeth says he does not pretend to be a Simon Lizotte, so Paul will not be going with the Anheuser. And Simon Lizotte looks ready to throw. He's going big. Lizotte goes with the Anheuser out over the water, and it lands safe. Paul talks about always playing to the galleries, and he has done just that here. You will not see that by any other competitor this weekend. McBeth with a low laser-like shot. And he has set himself up very nicely here on this 711-foot par 4. And JohnE McCray also with a safe shot. This is Cale Leiviska throwing an M4. And taking a very odd wind bounce, Cale's mid-range off the tee comes up low and then burns out to the left-hand side. He's going to have a little extra work to do here. As we walk down the fairway, we're going to catch up with Nate Heinold again, who some have said is a little bit too diabolical out here in his course design. Nate, everyone around the country would like to know, what was some of your thought process during this design out here at the Lake Eureka course?
Well, we wanted to make a challenging design, and the stroke and distance was designed to add more pressure to these people in their thought process, and we'll adjust as we go forward, but the thought process was put the baskets near out of bounds, make them think more about their putts. If they miss putts, they could be out of bounds, have to putt again, put the pressure on them, and that was the design around the greens.
And Cale with a upward climb here on his shot. Very effective. Great drive here by Cale Leiviska. One of the conversations that's been taking place all week, obviously this course design, but as we're seeing, very calm winds for the most part out here. This course plays very differently if you're talking about a 10 to 15 or even 20 mile per hour constant wind. Today, relatively calm. That's got to factor in and help out the players here.
Yeah, and I've tested this course. We had a preview event, and it was very windy. I made the course a little different after that. And what we didn't really anticipate after that preview event was the players in that event went for everything. They didn't care about the risk, even though it was stroke and distance. And so I assumed the top pros do the same thing, but they are smarter than the average 970 player. And we'll adjust as we see things going forward, but we do like to see them take risks, and there's certain holes they have, certain holes they're playing not how I designed it, and we'll adjust going forward, but that was the intention, was to make it a high-pressure, hard course that made them think more than just crush it. Even though Simon just threw a line that I thought nobody would ever even try.
Well, that's exactly what Simon Lizotte is known for, is taking lines that no one else would even consider. He was able to bite off a little bit more of the tee shot here. He should have a simpler approach than in the other competitors.
I think he would gain a stroke on the field by getting that drive where he did, because the stroke average on this hole plays over a 4. And so he is within probably 200 feet of the basket, and so he should be able to get that up and down. And that drive there's a lot of room. If you look where his landing area is, there's just a couple trees to get around. There's a big landing area, and so he really must have mapped that out in terms of his practice. So,
well, I got to say, my landing area and my driving areas are nowhere near where Simon Lizotte is, and even Paul McBeth said on that previous tee, he's not going for it, and he doesn't even pretend to be a Simon Lizotte. So,
my landing areas are in different zip codes than my intentions. So. But as I said, we'll make changes as we see fit. I think it's a beautiful piece of property. We are just so grateful to Eureka. We love the water. I love the aspect of out of bounds and water and rope and stroke and distance. And I think it can be used very effectively to give something the players don't see very often. They'll only see it at one tournament a year typically. And that's a very polarizing design. And, they've tweaked that, and that will be our goal here too.
All right, we have JohnE McCray lining up his second shot. McCray's shot gets somewhat hung up on the right-hand side by the tree. However, it still filters toward the basket. And Paul McBeth has landed here after throwing his Star Destroyer. He's going to have a right to left route. I'm guessing that will be his choice here. Question is the stability of the disc. We feel a left to right wind. The basket is at least 25, if not maybe 30 feet from the pin. So by this temp course standards, it's actually quite a ways away. And it looks like McBeth's going with a very stable Star Destroyer. Kisses off the tree, not what he was looking for. He's going to have to lay up from there, and he's going to have to take a 4 at best. This will be Cale's third shot here on this par 4. We see a park bench, which should not come into play with his run-up from the angle that he's taking. He may mentally be in the back of his mind, however, physically, it should not come into play. Cale playing a nice fade from right to left, and he gets the green flag. And a great looking shot here by Simon Lizotte again. His tee shot further than any of the other competitors after taking the wide Anheuser route out over the lake. We would like you to interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, hashtag Ledgestone Open. And McBeth has to settle for a layup, however, that's shorter than he was hoping. Go now. And JohnE McCray also with a layup. That's the best that he can muster here at this point, being this far away. Wow, with authority, Cale Leiviska putting in here on hole 11. He's going to walk away with a par 4. Paul McBeth just a few feet inside that. And with a stiff left to right wind, Paul McBeth, no problems here on his 4. Paul certainly frustrated that he wasn't able to get him down and get in position for a birdie. This is Simon Lizotte for birdie 3. Simon's spin putt uphill. The gallery appreciates the effort. Simon will move to 34 under par. And JohnE McCray will tap in. We're going to catch up with the second card as there is a very large backup here on hole number 12, somewhat affectionately referred to as the dam hole. You will see that. You will see that there is a large body of water the players must navigate over. I will give you some more specific detailed information here in just a few moments. We also see one of the other grandstands that has been placed here.
It is kind of, 200 feet long.
You see a large gallery off on the right-hand side of the tee here, all moving and getting into position. Hole 12 has been relatively calm the past few days out here during practice. However, they are faced with a very stiff headwind. It measures in at 635 feet. Of course, the water is OB. If the players carry too far toward the right-hand side and down the hill, there's an OB parking area which they could find themselves in if they were to turn a shot over and it was to carry all the way down the hill and toward the right. So one of the closest spots where they can land looks to be about 214 feet to carry over the water on the right-hand side. Again, this hole measures in at 633 feet, a par 4, hole number 12. We're going to get into position here in just a few moments and watch our second card throw their tee shots here.
Come on, man, go for that.
Nate Doss giving Ricky Wysocki a hard time, telling him that he needs to be going for this. And in just a few moments here, we're going to have Ricky Wysocki teeing off on hole number 12. And Wysocki's shot is off into the right-hand side. Looks to be perfectly placed. That's exactly what you're looking to do if you want to be safe here on this tee shot. Cameron Colglazer with a high turnover shot that is carrying down toward the parking lot area. And it looks as if he has carried far enough to go OB. Nate Doss making a slight adjustment in stability here. We're seeing that hyzer up nicely for him. Great shot by Nate Doss. And the lefty Zach Melton looking for that to push over. It looks like it's going to get over. And we're going to get an official clarification. And he is marking it as OB red. Nate Heinold clarifying that the rocks are safe.
You're right,
And this is not a stroke and distance hole, although we find that on many of the other holes out here. This is not one of them. If Cameron Colglazer is OB, he will be throwing from the drop zone. He's going to throw a provisional shot, just to clarify, because he does not know if he's in fact OB.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, and as I just mentioned a few moments ago, spotters should never touch a disc. We just saw the spotter go after and apparently had grabbed or touched that disc. It's tough to tell from my exact vantage point, however. Not a good move, so the players can verify as to where they are or are not.
You trying to go
That part of that rock is over dry land, and then part of that disc is over that rock.
There's no water underneath here, is what I'm saying. I mean, so it's
okay, Rick.
No, it's fine.
No, I know.
It's not that.
What I want to convey here, like if he landed on top of that rock right there, he would be in bounds. That's land.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the rocks are safe, then he's safe. But I didn't know that was the case.
The rocks are safe.
The rocks are safe unless the rocks are surrounded by water.
Make that all rocks, yeah. Well, yeah, unless it's...
Right, there are some islands sitting out here. Okay. That's an island.
Okay, that's why I originally called it. It was because I was told at the beginning that grass was safe.
Well, the rocks are actually in bounds.
Okay.
But the question is he surrounded by water? This is a peninsula, so we're saying that rock itself is in bounds. It's in bounds because you're touching that. Okay. And yeah, and obviously I neglected to remind you, don't touch anything.
Okay.
So that is my fault there. There is casual relief from here, but he didn't say lateral relief, so you can't really. It doesn't help you at all.
I'll just get the meter.
Yes, you do get the meter.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let me get out of your way.
You're good. It's
And as you hear a debate here as to Zach's tee shot, ultimately it seems as if he has been called inbounds. Just getting a clarification or two here from Mike Caprica, our Illinois state coordinator.
Dude, what happened with Zach? I saw you call him inbound. Well, here, let me explain.
We see Cameron Colglazer, who had carried OB to the right-hand side of the roped area here. And a nice uphill shot here by Cameron Colglazer. And while Ricky Wysocki and others are going to their lie, I know earlier in the week we caught up with Lauren Lakeberg, and after Zach Melton's second shot here, we'll catch up with her again. She's your PDGA and Ledgestone Insurance photographer. And Zach Melton has a standstill forehand. Looks as if that has carried back towards the water's edge. From here, it is impossible to determine if he is in fact out of bounds or not. Nate Doss will be throwing next. And Nate just a bit short. All right, we are working to get into position. We're going to watch these final few putts here by our second card. And As soon as they clear out, we will go back to our leader card, who will be teeing on hole number 12. And Wysocki with an easy 3 here. Zach Melton with a very nice straddle putt here from the water's edge. And Nate Doss is in. Cameron Colglazer taking the penalty 4. The rest of the competitors carding 3s here on the dam hole, hole number 12. We have Simon Lizotte on the tee, who has taken the lead outright for the first time here at the tournament. And a similar shot to what I expect to see from the other 3 competitors, out over the water into the safe area short of the OB, with leaving him with just an uphill throw from less than 200 feet. Paul McBeth with a long Star Destroyer shot, and he has actually carried what looks to be OB deep. Not something necessarily that the players, I think, were anticipating here. Again, a turnover shot can find themselves near the parking area. However, his shot is actually carried OB deep. Great shot by JohnE McCray. Cale Leiviska 4th to tee. And Cale's is turning over. That's going to need to hook up before he finds himself in the parking lot as well. And he has crossed over and finds himself OB. I believe the players will move to a drop zone after throwing out of bounds. Actually, I stand corrected. I believe only if you find yourself in the water do you go to the drop zone. However, where McBeth and Leiviska have found themselves, they are going to just be throwing from where they were last inbounds. So normal OB rules apply. We're going to catch up with Lauren Lakeberg here in just a moment. She is your resident photographer for both the PDGA as well as for the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Lauren, I caught up with you yesterday. I caught you a little off guard. However, I wanted to catch up again today and ask you about some photography pro tips. Now, don't give away all your secrets, but tell everyone, if you're out here filming disc golf or you're taking photos in your case of disc golf, what are some of the quick tips that you might suggest?
The number 1 rule is always respect the players. Wear muted clothes and keep it in the fairway.
There you go. You want to make sure that you're respecting the players. You're always talking about how far away you need to be, the position you're in. And I would say, to further your number 1 rule, you want to make sure that you stand perfectly still. You can be in sight of the player but standing perfectly still. I see you're outfitted in some black and green. You should match the surroundings nicely here today. You got any shout-outs or anything you'd like to say to anyone out there?
I'd like to say hi to Chris and Nico. Thanks for watching.
Now, I know you're missing some of your family and friends because you've been out here working so hard. Where can someone find the photos and the other action that you've been doing all weekend?
On lelphotography.com, also on Facebook, and on the PDGA website.
All right. I know you've been working tirelessly out here throughout the entire weekend. We appreciate your photos. I know, like film, you have to go home and get right to editing. And how many hours do you think you've put in so far this week in editing alone?
Well, I wake up at 6 in the morning and go to bed around midnight or 1, so it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. I know exactly how you feel. Well, Lauren, your photos are beautiful. Again, that's lelphotography.com, or you can check them out on the Flickr page for the PDGA, and you can find her on Facebook, lelphotography.com. All right, we've got a huge gallery along with a lot of our other players, caddies, friends, family. It's picking up. We've got some sweet action for you here today. Stay tuned. We're watching the 2015 Ledgestone Insurance Open, 4th round coverage. And we have Cale Leiviska throwing his second shot after going OB. Cale a little bit frustrated as he knew he needed more power on that shot. If Cale can put that putt in, he'll be looking at a penalty 4, as we just saw by Cameron Colglazer. Otherwise, he may be looking at a double bogey 5. Again, Paul McBeth's area and into the section just past what will be hole 17's tee. We're glad that you're out there tuned in and watching us live right here on SmashBoxxTV. If you'd like to support us, you're more than welcome to do so by going out to smashboxx.tv/support. And at that point, if you'd like to make any form of contribution, we would gladly accept it. We do appreciate it. However, if you don't, we're going to keep bringing you great 2-camera coverage. We are here in our 18th month of live broadcasting efforts. We couldn't be happier about having so many friends, family, and fans out there, and of course our beloved Smashies all taking it in. And Simon Lizotte throwing a very nice shot. However, it does carry up and over. It looks as if it is safe. Lauren Lakeberg, our photographer, also doubling up as a little bit of spotting duty here today. And Johnny McCray is going to be really happy with that. and it looks like it has finished safe. However, it was a nearly perfect shot coming in. We're going to have to double check. That may have actually rolled into the water. I believe it is short. However, we'll get an official clarification here in a few moments. Cale experiencing a left to right wind, gives it a good run off of the side of the basket on this uphill shot. And Paul just getting over the edge of the rim on that putt. He's going to have to take a 4. And tough to determine. I'm still not sure on the ruling as to whether or not Johnny McCray is inbounds. I believe that he is. However, we may be able to tell by his footing. Oh, Johnny McCray just saw a snake, he said. I am not on top of my Peoria area geography. Johnny McCray asking if they are in fact poisonous snakes. I was going to say I believe that would be a rattlesnake down there, but I am almost always wrong when it comes to snakes. So I'm guessing no rattlesnake. Johnny McCray is going to want to putt and move on very quickly here. Johnny making sure of his footing. And no problems, McCray, snake and all, able to take the 3 here on hole number 12. Simon Lizotte making a slight adjustment on the dangling chains. And somehow Simon's putt has spit through. He is in utter disbelief. He just asked why. And Cale gingerly taps in. Simon with a very unfortunate break, as that looked to be a perfect putt. And with some frustration, he knows that a stroke has just slipped past him here on hole number 12. We have a very brief walk over to the tee of hole number 13. See a nice sized gallery out here taking in all the action. The rain and cloud cover has completely subsided. We're feeling a large burst of sunshine as the heat rolls in. We're out here in Eureka, Illinois. I'm going to move over here to hole 13, which is a 363-foot par 3. Lake to the left-hand side is out of bounds, and they are playing it with normal OB. There's no stroke and distance here. Just normal OB rules apply, with just Lake OB on the left-hand side.
I went 4 or 5 the last two. Johnny, last two?
I went 4, I think, and 3.
There's 3. 4. What's that? 4, 4. 4. Simon went 3, 4. 3 shots and 4. Okay, what do you take him on? 5. 5? Yeah. You say 5.
Both live scoring and scorecards are being updated here. I'd like to thank all of our friends over at the PDGA, of course supporting our broadcasting efforts here this weekend, as well as keeping our live scoring up to date through some volunteers and caddies throughout. We have Johnny McCray on the tee. And Simon Lizotte is caught by one of the low-hanging branches. And Cale going with looks to be a fairway driver of sorts, and looking for that to finish closer toward the basket's edge. Again, hole 13, 363 feet, playing right toward the basket on the following hole 14, albeit half the distance of this hole. The pin is located even closer to the basket. The pin, I should say, is located even closer to the water. It's been a long week here, folks. Simon Lizotte, again, thank you, has maybe gotten even a little bit of a break here by getting caught up on the tree. It looked as if he had maybe let up on that drive just a little bit too much. He may have found himself in the water otherwise. And a great effort as he's blindly throwing over the bush that protects the basket. McBeth will be next to approach. And Paul has done so very nicely. Cale Leiviska is stepping off his placement to see how far away he is from the pin. We feel a right to left wind from where he'll be putting from. He's looking at approximately 35 feet. After some very serious deliberation, Cale runs at the putt, which carries over the pin. Looks as if it has also found itself in the water OB. Nate Heinold talked earlier about baskets being close to the water's edge, also knowing that there could be wind that affects the players here. Said he wanted to make players think and challenge them here for such a high stakes tournament. I know he has succeeded at that. Again, looking at over $6,000 for first place to be handed out here today. More than $125,000 in the pro purse, making this the single largest payout in PDGA history. Cale drying off his disc. He's still left with a little bit of a tester here. He's at least 18 to 20 feet, slightly uphill. Now he's going to have an opposite wind blowing from left to right. And typically we see Cale Leiviska with more of a push putt. There he had to opt for the spin putt. No problems for Johnny McCray. He's going to card a 3, as will Simon Lizotte and Paul McBeth. Cale Leiviska will card a bogey 4. The rest of the group taking 3s. We have a very short walk here over to what may be the single shortest hole on the course at here at the Lake Eureka temporary layout. As I mentioned earlier, water surrounds this basket on the left side and deep. We're over here on hole number 14, measuring in at just 223 feet. If a player finds themselves OB, they move to a drop zone, which is located more than 40 feet from the pin and is looking at a downhill death putt looking straight at the water. Solid effort by Johnny McCray. And Simon with a turnover shot, seems to be carrying deep, and he has landed just past the pin. Paul McBeth with a forehand champion Firebird. We'll have to see if he's close enough to the pin for a putt from there. And Leiviska's got a little too much turn on that, and he's found himself on the left-hand side. I believe that the players proceed to the drop zone after any water penalty shot here on this hole. We'll clarify if that's the case here with Leiviska. Cale forced to lay up there from the drop zone. Johnny McCray contemplating as to if he's going to be running this putt or not. And with a stiff headwind, Johnny McCray just underneath the basket. No fear by Paul McBeth. We saw a longer than normal hesitation from McBeth, however, lines it up and knocks it in. Cale Leiviska slightly frustrated here. And with a drop-in birdie by Simon Lizotte, just 2 feet past the pin. Johnny McCray will be taking a par 3 here on this very water-guarded hole. Hole number 14. We have just 4 holes to play here during our 4th round coverage. We're glad you're tuned in to SmashBoxxTV. It's been an exciting week here as we started off on Friday afternoon. Competitors played 1 round on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and our top 4 will be playing 4 final holes starting off at 2:30 Central right here on SmashBoxx. I'd like to thank Discraft, of course the presenting sponsor and disc manufacturer in conjunction with this event. Also, we'd like to thank Ledgestone Insurance. If you need any quote and you live in the Midwest, make sure you reach out to Nate Heinold. I believe if you call for a quote anytime in the next week, you receive a free disc just for getting a quote.
2. Simon? 2. Johnny?
And although Simon going for one of his trick shots off the right-hand side fairway. Paul going up the right-hand side nice and cleanly. Hole 15 is just 234 feet, slightly uphill.
That was generous.
And Leiviska also up the right-hand side of the fairway. He'll have a putt from there. After Johnny McCray's slight misfire, there was a chance of that kicking left, which is OB. However, as to quote Johnny McCray, he said that was generous, meaning the kick that pushed him from the left side of the fairway into the right fairway, keeping him inbounds on this hole. Long jump putt by JohnE McCray puts him right next to the basket. And Simon Lizotte takes advantage. Paul McBeth with a park job, as well as Cale Leiviska. We find Lizotte, Leiviska, and McBeth all carding birdie twos here. And JohnE McCray has a tap in for his par. We're going to have a brief walk over to the next hole. There may or may not be a backup. And in the meantime, we're going to sit back and listen to a word from one of our many generous sponsors.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job.
Go in.
Oh.
For me, it's all about the exercise.
For me, it fits into my busy lifestyle.
For me, it's my passion.
For us, it doesn't cost much to play.
For me, it's fun.
And Simon Lizotte is here on the tee of 16, measuring it at 423 feet. This is a par 3 with an elevated green. That is a very nice shot by Simon Lizotte. And McBeth's shot was carrying to the right, however the gallery likes it. He needed that to stay clean, and I think it did just that. And Cales gets a kiss off the tree. And JohnE McCray going with a hyzer off the tee here. We see most of our competitors going with an anhyzer to the wider side, which is the left side gap. McCray, however, going with the hyzer. Cale Leiviska, after going OB, will move to the drop zone. This hole, as you will see, is very precariously placed on top of a elevated mound, which will make putting exceptionally difficult. I stand corrected. It looks as if only if you miss the mandatory do you go to the drop zone. Leiviska may simply take his lie where he was last inbounds, otherwise known as normal OB rules.
Yeah, I agree.
JohnE from one knee approaches toward the basket. It also hits off a tree and kicks toward the left-hand side, keeping him inbounds. You're getting an official spot as to where Leiviska was last inbounds. And Cale is laid up short of the pin. He'll have a short uphill putt from there. And Simon Lizotte has laid up to the base of the basket.
Yeah. I can't tell from here. It looks like me from here, but.
Solid putt by JohnE McCray. Here on hole number 16, he's able to take the par 3. McBeth with an opportunity to gain a stroke back here on Simon Lizotte. And right out of his hand, McBeth knew that was in. Takes a birdie here on hole 16, just 2 to play during this 4th round here for these competitors. And Leiviska, after the penalty stroke, finds himself putting in for the 5. Correction, the 4. Please go out and let your friends know we have just 2 holes to play here. Holes number 17 and 18. 17 possibly one of the most talked about hole at this entire Ledgestone Insurance Open, as players must carry over a fence line. I've been told that the shortest portion of the fence line is 290 feet. Then they are playing to an island green. If you do not get into the island green off the tee, you continue to re-tee. We've seen numbers reaching into the double digits here on hole 17. It is 436 feet. However, the tee shot is the critical one. Once players land inbounds, they should easily be able to get up and down and at least card a 3, if not the birdie. All right, we're going to get into position. Again, one of the most daunting holes that we'll find here at this entire Ledgestone Insurance Open. Waiting on the second card to clear off of the tee. Correction, off of the pin here. After the birdie on hole 16, we're going to have Paul McBeth teeing first. McBeth's shot is carrying what looks to be over the fence, and he has found himself inbounds. Either. And if this can hyzer finish for Simon Lizotte, he's going to find himself inbounds, no problems. And JohnE McCray looking for it to finish left and stay short of the long OB line. It appears to be exactly what he was looking for. And Cale's tee shot is also in bounds. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress enough just how challenging this tee shot really was. We did just see 4 players throw it perfectly onto the island green. However, there were dozens, if not hundreds, of penalty strokes issued throughout the weekend on this hole, as many players were having a challenge clearing the fence and getting onto the island. All 4 of our leader card competitors, though, finding themselves safely on, making it look much easier than this hole really played for the rest of the competitors out here this weekend. We've got just 2 holes to go, 17 and 18 here during our 4th round. We'd like to thank you guys for tuning in, sharing our link and feed with everyone else out there who wants to watch any live disc golf. We will be back no later than 2:30 p.m. Central Time this afternoon. We'll be providing links shortly after this round concludes. We'd like you to join us as we'll be showcasing our top 4 male competitors, and as Nate Heinold and staff and crew have been excited about for more than 18 months since this event has started its major preparations, be issuing over $125,000 in prizes for our top competitors. Cale Leiviska will be first to throw here on hole number 17. And Cale looking to put that one in just a bit short. And we see JohnE McCray again flirting with that OB.
Still good? Yeah. Still good? Yeah, you're good.
And McCray's putt is short left. We see Simon Lizotte and Paul McBeth have clearly distanced themselves from the other 2 competitors. We'll have to see if anyone from the 2nd or 3rd card was able to catch them. Bringing you some additional scoring updates. It looks like Cameron Colglazer is sitting at 25 under par. Nate Doss is at 24. Ricky Wysocki at 23. And McBeth's birdie attempt is short. Lizotte will remain tied with Paul McBeth at 36 under par. The rest of the card will tap in. Although these gentlemen played this hole in just 12 strokes, there were other competitors out here this weekend that played the hole themselves in more than 12 strokes. So again, they had made it look relatively easy. Seeing 4 competitors card 3s here is very impressive. They just make it look easy.
Good luck in the finals, man. 17, Simon.
Hi, Mom. I won't see you in the finals, but hi.
All 3? Yes, please. All 3?
Cale saying hi to his mom back in Minnesota. We know that she's out there watching. So glad to have her, as well as all the other friends and family here. Paul McBeth on the tee. This is 340 feet, hole number 18. And Paul's Destroyer checks up nicely in this grass. And Simon Lizotte's shot has gone inside the fence. And Johnny McCray taking a much more lower, more direct route here. And Cale Leiviska also going straight up the middle here. And a great final drive here by Cale Leiviska. Cale has been a regular on SmashBoxxTV out here for our rounds, exhibition rounds. We know you got friends and family, and you just threw a beautiful shot here. Unfortunately, that may be the last drive of yours for the tournament, but a solid performance out here today, Cale.
Yeah, thank you guys. This is a huge event. This last round had tons of OBs, and I was finding them just barely a few inches early, and it kind of got to me, and I started running some things I probably shouldn't have, but I really did enjoy myself, and I just want to thank Nate Heinold for having us all out here and raising all that money, and thank you guys all for watching. Hi, Mom.
All right, well, Cale having a good time out here. We know that, again, we're having a huge payout and more than $20,000 also being donated to St. Jude. I think those are the real winners out here this weekend. Johnny McCray.
I absolutely parked it, by the way.
Yeah, you absolutely parked it, as Cale says. Johnny McCray's up next. And that may, in fact, secure a spot for Johnny in the finals. We know that it is very close with the second card. That may even tie him or secure his spot in the finals. I'm not sure if he really cared or not, but either way, what a putt.
Yeah, he stepped up and fired it. I mean, maybe that's what you should do every time. That was in the heart.
Johnny McCray a little more methodical typically. I know he's expressed a little bit of frustration here throughout the round, but...
Oh, that was the beating by 1, too. Dang it. He should have taken his time.
And Simon Lizotte is going to be relinquishing possibly 3 strokes here to McBeth on this hole. They were neck and neck, no more than 1 stroke apart at any point. And with that birdie, Paul McBeth is going to have a somewhat comfortable lead here moving into the finals. Of course, they have 9 very challenging holes remaining, but he's going to love that cushion. And once our competitors get their scorecards tabulated, we will check in with them and get ready for our final 9, which again you're going to see at 2:30 p.m. We're going to see if we can get an update here from some of our foursome.
Simon, Paul 2, Cale 2, JohnE 2. Oops, you're at 17. Count it. No, I gave you 2. Yeah, an accident. I want to see that. All 3s? 17. Simon 4, Paul 2, Cale 2, JohnE 2. Alright. I got you at 46. This is way off, bro. Oh, because it's 316. Yeah.
I'll walk up there. Cale, I got it. The long hike up? Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, we're going to double check as to...
You want only Paul?
No, not only Paul. Come on, we'd love to talk to you.
Right.
Do you want to talk to us?
No.
Okay, you don't
Just
have
kidding.
to. All right. We're going to catch up here with Simon Lizotte. Paul is going to make sure that scorecard gets turned in. Simon, you guys were battling back and forth, stroke for stroke. It was finally on hole 11, I believe, where you had the first outright lead here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this exciting round.
Well, we weren't really going back and forth. We were just staying on the same level. 10 holes in a row, shot the same score. Finally got a good drive, and I had really a big advantage on that hole. So, took a stroke there. Should have got another one on the next hole, but the basket wasn't on my side. And final hole just right now.
Not exactly how you hope to finish, but you're down 2. There's going to be 9 more holes in the finals. Are we going to see you go big?
I don't know what holes we're playing yet, but I'll try. I mean, you kind of have to go big now. Paul leading by 2. It's already hard to beat him if you're leading by 5. So if he's leading, it's going to be even harder. And the other scores, I'm not sure. I think behind us is a little gap. I'm not sure about what the scores exactly are.
Yeah, I believe you guys are sitting on, I guess the scoreboard ran off, but I think you're sitting on at least 8 to 10 strokes before third round. So right now it's a 2-horse race.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do between now and 2:30 when you go live again?
I'm not sure. Get lunch and putt. This one, this 15-footer I should have made. And yeah, just mentally prepare to try again as hard as I can.
All right. Anything you'd like to say to all the gallery or our Smashies out there that are watching from around the world?
Everybody, thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching Smashbox. I watch it too, so you're doing good.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. That's Simon Lizotte. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to grab Paul or others. I think Paul's going to run over. We'll also catch up with him real briefly before we let you guys go. Obviously, the scorecard and getting that turned in is our number one concern. I want to make sure that everyone has all of their correct affairs in order here. And Paul McBeth is going to join us here quickly.
How's it going, Terry?
It's going great, Paul. Simon said that you guys had matched on every single hole for the first 10 holes. He finally got you. And I think you had said on hole 11 that you weren't going to even attempt to do what he does.
Yes.
And he went for the big Anheuser out over the water. Does that really surprise you?
No. Especially, I mean, it was pretty calm for that hole, surprisingly. So he went for it, and he, threw it perfect.
Now, what is going to be the game plan? You have 2 strokes. We saw a somewhat unfortunate turn of events here on the final hole of this round. You have 2 strokes going into the finals, but with a big arm like that, I know you can't really sit back or relax, can you?
I mean, it's going to be the same thing we just did, lay up every hole, pretty much. I mean, we scored 15 of the 18 holes the same, so there's not really a big difference out there for Simon and I because we have the same game plan going into it.
And now the 2 of you have really distanced yourself from the rest of the field, so it's going to be just, I'm guessing, the 2 of you for here on out. Any big antics? Nothing? Just laying up? That's it?
That's all we can do out here. It is getting calm, though, right now. It's really calm, so I'm not completely sure, what more we can do out on this course because it is so tight and there's so much OB and stroking distance and things like that.
Well, besides the large check that you guys are playing for, more than $20,000 is going to be donated to the St. Jude Research Children's Hospital. And you yourself, earlier in the year, raised more than $20,000. We're looking at almost $300,000 raised for St. Jude. It's been an amazing year for all the disc golfers. We want to thank everyone out there. What's your plan for next year in terms of fundraising and supporting that effort?
I mean, the goal is to get, the same, if not more. I know it's a lot, but this time we have a full year to do it instead of, I think it was only 6 months, so probably less than that. So I won't be surprised if we can nearly double that.
All right. Well, Paul McBeth, a great ambassador. He's sitting with a 2-stroke lead right here. We're going to have the final 9 coming to you live at 2:30 right here on SmashBoxxTV. So for Joe Height on the camera, JohnE V back home, as well as Gary to the O, for myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. We'll see you guys at 2:30 when we crown our first ever Ledgestone Insurance Open champion right here in Eureka, Illinois. We'll see you next time when you step inside the Smashbox.